Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a like up. Star Trek 4 appears to be dead, but can Star Trek, Strange New Worlds or Star Trek, Starfleet Academy bring Chris Pine's Captain James T. Kirk and his USS Enterprise movie crew into the prime timeline? Pine, Zachary Quinto's Mr. Spock, and Carl Urban's Dr. Leonard M. C. Coy headline 3 Star Trek movies produced by J.J. Abrams from 2009 to 2016. Variety's cover story about Paramount Skydance under new CEO David Ellison contained the following information about the state of the Star Trek movie franchise. The hope is to have a fresh Star Trek movie, though the studio has moved on from the idea of bringing back Chris Pine, Zachary Quinto, and the rest of the ensemble from the J.J. Abrams reboot. Star Trek 4, the long-delayed 4th movie starring the Chris Pine-led Starship Enterprise cast, was mired in development hell for a decade, with high-profile directors like S.J. Clarkson, Matt Shakman, and Quentin Tarantino walking away from the project due to creative differences. Yet Chris Pine, Zachary Quinto, Carl Urban, Simon Pegg, Sofia Boutella, and Academy Award winner Zoe Saldana have all publicly stated their desire to make a 4th Star Trek movie. However, those hopes appear to be dashed by Paramount Skydance's new management, with Paramount Skydance reportedly moving on from reuniting J.J. Abrams' cast in favor of an undetermined fresh Star Trek movie idea. What are the odds of the alternate Kelvin timeline characters appearing in Star Trek's existing TV series? Unfortunately, the current slate of Star Trek TV series on Paramount Plus makes it an unlikely long shot to see Chris Pine's Captain Kirk and the Kelvin timeline USS Enterprise characters appear in Star Trek's prime timeline. The remaining 2 Star Trek shows on Paramount Plus, Star Trek, Strange New Worlds, and Star Trek, Starfleet Academy, each have 2 seasons coming to the streamer. Strange New Worlds' shortened 5th and final season is in production now, as is Starfleet Academy Season 2. Star Trek, Strange New Worlds' 5-year mission is nearly complete, and there is likely no chance of Paul Wesley's future Captain Kirk and Ethan Peck's Lieutenant Spock meeting Chris Pine's Kirk and Zachary Quinto's Spock, although such a crossover would be a can't-miss event for Star Trek fans. Star Trek, Starfleet Academy is set in the 32nd century and is potentially a more feasible way to reference or even guest star Chris Pine or actors from his Star Trek cast. Star Trek Discovery established that the temporal wars made the Prime Timeline's United Federation of Planets aware of the Kelvin timeline. It's possible that Star Trek Starfleet Academy could reference the existence of the alternate reality Captain Kirk and his Starship Enterprise, or even host a surprise guest appearance, which would also be a major event for Star Trek fans. However, there is no indication that this can or will happen, and if it did, a mention of the Kelvin timeline in Star Trek Starfleet Academy would more likely be a mere reference than any full-blown guest spots by Star Trek's movie star actors. Both Star Trek Lower Decks and Star Trek Prodigy had an idea to include Chris Pine to voice Captain Kirk that was ultimately dashed. Star Trek Lower Decks Season 5 opened up the multiverse, and there was a brief consideration of having Pine cameo as his version of Kirk. Similarly, Star Trek Prodigy Season 2 was a sweeping multiversal epic, and there was also thought given to possibly bringing in Chris Pine to voice Captain Kirk. This was also quickly dismissed as unfeasible, however. At the end of 2005, Viacom split from CBS Corporation and divided Star Trek. Paramount Pictures got the Star Trek movie rights, while CBS retained the rights to the Star Trek TV franchise. The Kelvin timeline was created for J.J. Abrams' Star Trek reboot because the film division didn't have the rights to use characters from the vast Star Trek TV franchise. However, Paramount Skydance's new management is reportedly bringing all of Star Trek under one roof for the first time since Rick Berman oversaw the Star Trek franchise. No more divide between Star Trek movies and TV means that Chris Pine's Kelvin Timeline cast may be in play for future TV appearances, though this doesn't appear to be in the cards. A new Star Trek theatrical feature film is reportedly a priority for Paramount Skydance, but the future of Star Trek's TV franchise is also in flux. Since Star Trek Discovery launched in 2017, Alex Kurtzman and Secret Hideout have overseen Star Trek's TV series on Paramount+. However, Kurtzman's deal with Paramount is reportedly up in 2026. Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 5 and Star Trek Starfleet Academy Season 2 could mark the end of Secret Hideout's successful Star Trek run on Paramount+, which also saw the creation of Star Trek Discovery, Star Trek Picard, Star Trek Lower Decks, and Star Trek Prodigy. Fans aware of this potential upcoming change in Star Trek's management hope that names like Ronald D. Moore and Terry Matalas are under consideration to run Star Trek 2026, which is Star Trek's 60th anniversary year, could be when a clear picture will begin to emerge about what the future of Star Trek movies and TV will look like after Star Trek Strange New Worlds and possibly Star Trek Starfleet Academy ends in 2027. After years of hope, hype, and heartbreak, the news many Trekkies dreaded has finally come to pass. Star Trek IV is effectively dead. Despite endless rewrites, shifting directors, and studio promises of a triumphant Kelvin Timeline return, Paramount has quietly shelved the long-delayed film. But in the ever-evolving world of Star Trek, death is rarely the end. If the big screen is no longer the Enterprise's destination, could the small screen be the last? Best hope for Chris Pine's Captain Kirk and his talented crew? A long road to nowhere. When Star Trek Beyond premiered in 2016, it marked the 50th anniversary of the franchise. Critics loved its character-driven storytelling, and longtime fans praised how it captured the adventurous spirit of classic Trek. But despite positive reviews, the film underperformed at the box office. Paramount's planned follow-up, often called Star Trek IV, faced one obstacle after another. First came the contract chaos. Chris Pine and Chris Hemsworth, who played Kirk's father, George, reportedly walked away after salary disputes. Then directors came and went. S.J. Clarkson, Noah Hawley, and Matt Shakman were all attached at one point. Each iteration promised a fresh take or bold new vision, but none ever made it to production. By late 2025, sources close to Paramount quietly confirmed what many already suspected. The Kelvin Timeline movies are no longer in active development. Star Trek IV isn't just delayed, it's dead in space. Why the Kelvin Timeline mattered? The 2009 Star Trek reboot was a miracle in itself. Director J.J. Abrams took an aging, nostalgic property and made it pulse with modern energy. The cast: Chris Pine, Zachary Quinto, Zoe Saldana, Carl Urban, John Cho, and the late Anton Yelchin, were pitch-perfect reflections of their 1960s counterparts, without ever feeling like imitations. For a new generation, this was their Star Trek. Pine's cocky yet vulnerable Kirk, Quinto's cerebral Spock, and Urban's gruff MC Coy brought a sense of camaraderie that echoed the original series' beating heart. The films were cinematic, emotional, and adventurous in a way no sci-fi franchise quite replicated. Yet as the Star Wars juggernaut and the Marvel Cinematic Universe dominated the 2010s, Star Trek struggled to find its place. Paramount wanted blockbuster numbers from a franchise built on moral philosophy and diplomacy. The result? a series of creative misfires and budget concerns that doomed Star Trek IV before it even launched. Thanks for watching this video. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and stay with us.